Hey, this is C&D channel. I'm Chris. This is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my post-fight analysis for UFC Fight Night 72. Overall, pretty fun card. Some fights weren't so great. Other ones were a lot of fun. There's definitely a lot more good than bad in this card. Good amount of finishes too by knockout. Emelianchuk, Rivera, Whiteford, Latifi, Ray. Duffy got the triangle choke. So, good stuff there. Picks weren't too bad. Got 9 out of 12. The only 3 I missed were Bismack versus Latifi. Let's see. At Dunham versus Pearson. And Emelianchuk versus De La Rocha. As far as bonuses go, Duffy and Stevie Ray got performance of the night, while Calderwood versus Casey got fight of the night. Scottish fighters went 3 for 3. Calderwood, Whiteford, and Stevie Ray won their fights. The overall atmosphere was really good too. Let's get started. Michael Bismack defeated Thales Leites by split decision. This was actually an interesting fight. I picked Leites to win, thinking that he would get the finish. And if it went to decision, Bismack would most likely win. And that's what happened, but, I was kind of surprised that Leites managed to play Bismack's war of attrition type game, I thought he hung on there well. Leites did. And arguably landed the harder shots and the shots that would potentially end the fight. Otherwise, I thought that Bismack won. I would give him like 1-3-4, something around that. I'd have to probably rewatch the fight, but a lot of it just took place on the feet. I mean, Bismack was used more footwork and was the more just technical striker. Whereas Leites a little more. I'd say more of a brawler in a sense, but I don't think that's a right assessment. Not as technical, but still effective. And he threw in the combination, especially when Bismack's back against a cage. He did really well. Leites was also hitting a nice outside leg kick that I thought he should have probably used a little more. Leites did manage to take Bismack down, but Bismack just got back to his feet. And any other times he tried after that to take him down. And Leites didn't try a lot of takedowns. Bismack would not get taken down. This kind of puts a cap on where Leites is. He's, really, if you can beat Bismack, you kind of belong in that, like, top 7, arguably top 5. I'd say more like top 7 fighters, Guys like Kennedy, Romero, Rockhold, Machidas is still up there. Jacare and, of course, Weidman, they'd be there. Mousasi's probably there too. But I'd like to see him actually fight Bismack to kind of really see where he is. Bismack's just a good test. I mean, like CB Dalloway was a guy that was coming up, getting some, good wins. Then he fought Machida and lost, and then he fought Bismack and he lost that one. And you kind of get an idea. Okay, Dalloway, if he's top 10, he's like number 10. That's what like Bismack is. It's like, are you like, championship material or are you not? And being able to beat Michael Bismack is kind of criteria to figure that out. Leites, like, he's shown good improvement. He can strike. He has some power in his strikes. And, of course, he's still really good on the ground. He's got a good chin, too. But, yeah, he's just not quite there at that level. I don't think he ever will be, but I think he'll still remain, a top 9 to 15 type guy, I think Bismack should get the winner of Ron Canero versus Gegard Mousasi. That would be really good. Anyone higher, I just think that Bismack would lose to, but, like, yeah, you can give him Yoel Romero. That'd be cool, but I would fear for Bismack's life. Honest truth. That guy hits so hard. And Bismack does get hit clean. I would, personally, I just think Romero would wreck Bismack, personally. But they could go that direction because Bismack's on a win streak over good guys. CB Dalloway and Talis Latifi. So pretty good competition, Or they could give him Machida. Machida Bismack would be interesting as well. Even at this point, I still think Machida would beat Bismack, but, it'd be an interesting fight. With Latifi, I think you should probably get CB Dalloway next. I think that'd be a fun fight. They're around the same level as well. Yeah. Next fight after that, Evan Dunham defeated Ross Pearson by unanimous decision. This one really surprised me. I was firmly behind the idea that Ross Pearson would be able to outbox Dunham and defend his takedowns, and lo and behold, Evan Dunham managed to take down Pearson and get dominant positions on him as well. Even the striking to a point kind of became a wash just because of the threat of the takedown. And then for most of the fight, it took place on the ground anyways. Very surprising from Dunham. This is a guy that was coming off some pretty bad losses. Not bad losses, but just coming off a really long losing streak. Looks like he's really getting it back. Brian Stan, great commentary, by the way, from Brian Stan. I always enjoy his stuff, and he always adds very good information. When he said that, Dunham's now has more personalized training and stuff like that. I'm like, I can kind of see that. He just looks better. He looks more confident. There's just something about his... I would just say his demeanor. And there's something to be said about, confidence and demeanor coming into the cage. That's actually something that, a lot of coaches teach. It's, one of the most important things of a fighter is confidence. I think Cordero is big on that. I kind of see it with Dunham in this fight too. You just kind of see it, that he's kind of just more confident, I suppose. Pearson though, man, yeah, this is a win he kind of needed, because now he's pretty much that guy that's the rank of he is firmly established as rank and file of the lightweight division. I really never, I didn't think he'd ever be a top 10 guy, but maybe 11 to 15. But even then, I don't think he's gonna reach that point. He gets outstruck, and then he also, as shown in this fight, he gets out-wrestled. He's just kind of a fun action fighter at this point. He's always been, but I think it's really firmly entrenched now. That's really where he's at. Dunham, though, it's funny with Dunham because he had that losing streak, and now he's on a good, a solid enough 2-fight win streak where his staying power in the UFC is pretty secure. He generally has good fights too. It's really tough to say because with as far as Dunham goes, in his post-fight interview he says oh, I consider myself a journeyman. And it's that's, I'd say, more gatekeeper, but yeah, that's kind of what he is at this point. Just kind of that tough guy. You can either beat him and move on to the next level, or you can't. But he'll give you a fight, and he's game and he's super resilient. I'd like to see Evan Dunham actually just test more prospects. I think at this point he would be something more akin of a good gatekeeper type than anything else. He's really experienced. He's tough as nails. He can do a little bit of everything, but he's not like... People can outdo him in a lot of areas, you know. People outstrike him. People can out-wrestle him. And arguably could out-jiu-jitsu him as well. Well, I don't think I've really seen that happen to him. But yeah, you know, I think he's just test more prospects. With Pearson, if there's any fun action fighters at lightweight, you know, give him like Mousasi or something like that, you know. That's really who Pearson should be fighting at this point. Next fight after that, Joseph Duffy defeated Ivan George by triangle choke in the first round. Joseph Duffy, you know, forget the whole he's the last guy to beat Conor McGregor thing. And in hindsight, that's a great win. He beat him by arm triangle in like the first round. This guy's a blue chip prospect. I mean, this guy can do it all. He can strike, not just with his hands, with his feet. He can wrestle. He can scramble. And dude, the guy just submitted a legit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. You know, like, Ivan George's avenue to win is probably to submit Joseph Duffy. And Duffy submitted him, you know. Ivan George really... I mean, he's a guy that can get wins in the UFC, but it's against, like, the lowest level competition. You know, he can take him down. He can get dominant position. He can't outstrike, like, anyone, really. And his cardio isn't that great. Duffy, though, man, this guy, he needs to step up in competition. He's too good. He can do a little bit of everything. He took time off the box, and I think that probably helped him more than hurt him. He also trains at TriStar. There is a lot to like from Joseph Duffy, really. I think he's only still mid-20s. I want to say he's like, what, 26? Excuse me. Yeah, he's like 26 or something like that. Just give him one of those hulking Brazilians, you know? Give him like Leandro Silva, Masran Duba, Leonardo Santos. You know, just give him some of those guys. Or give him even higher. You know, give him Evan Dunham. You know, go Joseph Duffy, Evan Dunham. That would be a good fight. One that Duffy could win. Should win, but Dunham is crafty enough to maybe, you know, pull out the win as well. I think he should be fighting guys kind of like on Evan Dunham's level at this point. You know, kind of high up there, has something of a name, more experienced and whatnot. Because Duffy can beat your Ivan Georges or the last guy he fought, the librarian. I forgot his name. Yeah, totally forgot his name now. Nickname's a librarian. You know, he can beat the lower level guys. You know, now it's time to give him like some of the better guys. Another guy that'd be good for him is that guy from MMA Lab, the guy from Guam. Geez, names are escaping me right now. I can't think of that guy's name either. But the guy from MMA Lab that's from Guam, and I totally forgot his name, should fight Joseph Duffy. That's another good guy for him to fight. Just people around that level, like solid mid-level, maybe even upper mid-level guys for Joseph Duffy at this point. To find that triangle choke off of a takedown like he did and just lock it in and just have that wherewithal to do that and grab the leg to secure it. It's great stuff from Joseph Duffy. You know, I cannot be more impressed with him. I think very highly of him as a prospect. And he's a guy, if you give him any mid-level lightweight, I expect Joseph Duffy to beat him. Next fight is that John Calderwood defeated Courtney Casey by unanimous decision. One thing about Joanne Calderwood, this was a fun fight. Don't get me wrong. This was a really fun fight. But, like, I'm a fan of Joanne Calderwood, but I have definitely soured on her. Pretty much once she entered the UFC. It just, for one thing, she's a very slow starter. She's one of a few fighters in the UFC that are just so terrible at boxing range. There's just something about that range where she gets hit hard, and it gets hit clean, and a lot. Happened to her in the Siu Hee-Han fight, happened to her here. She just doesn't box. She's a very traditional Muay Thai. But she doesn't have a strong, like, leg kick game, Her bread and butter is, like, her knees and elbows, especially if she gets a clinch. Otherwise, she just, defensively she needs a lot of work. That's the thing. It's really tough to see Calderwood's prospects in the division. Not even the loss to Morose, it's not just that. It's also just how she lost. She's getting beat up at boxing range, and then she got submitted. And her ground game is still something of a question mark. She did better here. She was on top, though, of Casey. And Casey was obviously just really tired and fatigued. She took the fight on short notice. I think Casey's got some good prospects in the division. She's a good athlete, big for the weight class. She can strike. She can do some jiu-jitsu. She can threaten from her back. So she's not a bad prospect, actually. I can just see her get wins in the UFC. She's definitely good enough to do that. Calderwood, the thing with her is I can see her winning, but I can also see her losing too, in a sense. I know it sounds weird, but I actually rethink, if she fought Beck Rawlings loves to box. And she's very aggressive about it. I'd still favor Calderwood, but, I think, Rawlings could probably beat her at this point. It's just her defense is just really bad. I love Calderwood's clinch game. If she sees her opponent weakening and backing up against a cage, she really goes to work. But otherwise, there are definitely aspects of her game that I don't like. I would really like to see her change camps. I know some are saying she trains permanently at All Stars now. I don't know if that's true. She's with Dinky Ninjas, but I don't know if she's still with them. I'd like to see her train at a camp in the U.S. I would actually like to see one of those camps that breaks down fighters. Just okay, reset, start over. Maybe Black Zillions or TriStar. Those two camps tend to break them down, and kind of just press the reset button. Because Calderwood needs work in a lot of areas. As far as she should fight next, I'm thinking Tesha Torres would be a good next opponent. Maybe a Ronda Marcos. Who else is there? Someone around there. Some of these fighters that are a bit higher up there. You can even go Paige Vanzant, Calderwood. I think that would be fun and appropriate. If Paige Vanzant gets past Alex Chambers, I can see Calderwood versus Vanzant. I think that'd be pretty fun as well. Next fight, that Leon Edwards defeated Paul Pollock by unanimous decision. Pollock, that guy took a mean head kick and still survived. Leon Edwards is good. Would love to see more output from him. He threw some combinations, which I'm pretty happy because there are times he throws a lot of single strikes, and he actually showed an improved clinch game, which I like, and just overall better grappling. So, Leon Edwards, very good prospect. He's only like 23. Definitely someone to look out for sure. He should, there's 2 wins in a row now. I think he should fight like a George Sullivan type or someone like that. Someone that will really test him. Kind of like what Claudio Enrique Silva did. Just really test him, for 15 rounds. Or 15 minutes, 15 rounds. 15 minutes, But Pavlik, he's just not great anywhere. He's wrestling's, he can do a little bit of everything, but he's not great anywhere. There's really not much I could say about him. It's more lower to mid-2 guys in the division for him. Next fight after that, Stevie Ray defeated Leonardo Mafra by TKO in the first round. I am glad I stuck with Stevie Ray, the Stevie Ray pick here. I kind of thought that Ray would win in the later rounds, wearing out Mafra, but finished him early, got a good punch in there, wobbled him, still had, and even though he smelled blood, he still had the mind to still remain defensive. You can actually see the replay, and it's like, you see him actually hitting Mafra, but still defending counters, and while Mafra's rocked. So that was a really good thing to see. Ray's a good prospect. He's solid. He can strike. He can wrestle. He has some good ground and pound. He can submit guys. He's just a good, solid fighter. Getting better every fight. Good win here too. Mafra's a big guy. He's a guy that hits hard, and Ray met him at pretty much where Mafra would have wanted to fight. So, good one for Ray, and just more lower to mid-tier guys of the division for both these guys. Okay, on to the prelims. Paddy Holohan defeated Von Lee by unanimous decision. Holohan's very unusual because he's still a prospect, but I don't think there's definitely a ceiling for him. The fact that he lost to Chris Kalades the way he did to shows some limitations in his game. He's a guy that can be a bit too content off his back at times. He's not the strongest guy, so he can get out muscled. And his striking is kind of disjointed. It's flashy at times. He'll go for the spinning back kick or something. But there's not much rhyme or reason to it. He's a good fighter. Definitely deserves to be in the UFC. It's just, he's a guy that I see something of a clear ceiling for. Von Lee is a guy I can see just get cut from the UFC. He looked terrible in this fight. There are some parts of the fight where he just stared at Holohan and did nothing. Wouldn't even throw a strike. And Lee's always been a guy that's just hanging on by a thread in the UFC too. So I can definitely see him get cut. With Holohan, just more lower to mid guys in the division for him. Next fight after that, Alir Latifi defeated Sean Stringer by knockout, 56 seconds in the first round. Alir Latifi was something of a punchline, like when he fought Mousasi. But the fact of the matter is, he's a good fighter. This guy is strong. His nickname is so fitting, that sledgehammer. This guy hits hard, he leg kicks hard, he punches hard, he can knock dudes out, he can take you down. There's a lot to like with Latifi. He's actually I would still consider him a prospect. He's a guy that's showing improvement from fight to fight, finishing opponents in various ways, and pretty just tough guy. You know, you don't want to. There's a lot of areas with Latifi that's hard to like outdo with him. You know, I guess you can kind of outstrike him, especially at range, but this guy has some power in his strikes, and you know it's hard to out wrestle Latifi. So, you know, I like what I see from Latifi, and it's considering how the lack of depth at at 205. Excuse me. And he's a guy that could definitely get to the top 11 to 15 if he's not already there, but possibly even insert himself into that top 10. Obviously, when he reaches that top 5, I think he'll have problems, but I think he can be in that top 10. Part of it's just the lack of depth. Lack of depth in the division is why I'm saying that too. You know, he's still very flawed in a sense too. Jan Blachowicz, I mean, he manages to like body kick him. You know, I think he can also just fight Latifi, and Mousasi manages to fight him at range. So he's also just still a very flawed fighter as well. But at light heavyweight, you know, they need prospects, and TV's actually one of the better ones. I don't see like championship, you know. I don't see him ever fighting for a championship, but I can kind of see him move up the ranks and get more wins and losses. Hans Stringer is just, I don't know what he is, you know. He's not much of a striker. Kind of clinch with you. He can grapple, but there's nothing about his game that really impresses me. Got knocked out bad in this fight. Lost his last fight against Fabio Maldonado. There's really not much to Hans Stringer that like he's like barely you know like a UFC level fighter at this point. I can actually see him maybe getting cut, but the division's so thin that like I don't know if that'll happen. As far as who Latifi should fight, I would actually like to see him fight Manoa, actually. I think that'd be pretty cool. They might train together, though. The winner of Marcos Rogerio de Lima versus Nikita Krylov wouldn't be too bad. No, wouldn't be too bad, but, you know, he's coming off a loss. It would be Pat Cummins. Pat Cummins versus Latifi actually wouldn't be too bad either. How about this? Fabio Maldonado versus Latifi, you know? Yeah, Maldonado's coming off a loss, but that'll be cool. You can do Latifi Rampage if you want to go there, but I think Rampage is just too big of a name for Latifi to fight at this point. Next after that, Michael Labout defeated Timu Pekalen by unanimous decision. I'll say this right now. Both of these guys don't belong in the UFC. I mean, they just do not fight at a high level. Like, Pekalen, even though he's like deemed like a ground guy and a grappling guy, there are things about him that I don't like aren't good. He got swept pretty easily. He doesn't stay heavy in transition. That was one of the biggest things I noticed. Even when I was watching footage of the guy, I was like, yeah, he just doesn't, like, he'll try to pass guard, but during his pass and his transitions, doesn't stay heavy on the opponent. So he kind of leaves some space. And Labout, I mean, the guy's ground game looks just terrible. You know, it's nice that he was able to defend takedowns. His striking's not too bad, but it wasn't the greatest. I like Timu's heart. You know, he was always in the fight and trying to win, but yeah, this was not, in my opinion, it was pretty low-level MMA. Just more lower-level guys at the division for both of them. Next fight with that, Robert Whiteford defeated Paul Redmond by TKO in the first round. Whiteford's a solid fighter, you know. He moves well, strikes well. He can also, he can also wrestle. So he's pretty good. Just a solid fighter. I don't think of him as like some great prospect or anything like that. But solid fighter. There's really not much I can say. All I can say is a nicely timed strike that ended that spelled the beginning of the end. And it's Whiteford, just more mid to lower tier guys of the division for him. With Redmond, this is like 2 losses in a row. He's like alright, I guess, but I don't see any reason for the UFC to really keep him at this point. I can actually see him get cut. Okay, on to the Fight Pass prelims. Jimmy Rivera defeated Marcus Brimage by TK in the first round. I really like what I see with Jimmy Rivera. For the longest time, he was getting decision victories. His striking's really improved. His timing's better, and he also strike in combination. And he aims for a lot of different parts of the body. You go for the leg, the body, or the head. So I really like what I see with Jimmy Rivera. Given the appropriate matchups against more lower to mid-tier guys, I can definitely see him winning more than lose. And if he fights like some really good prospect, it'd be really interesting. But they can give him more like just like mid-level guys. I think he can get, I think he can get some wins there. Brimage, isn't this the second time? Garbrandt knocked him out before that. This fight. I don't really know about Brimage at this point. I like the guy. I think the UFC might give him another chance, but he's a guy that, when he fights like these UFC newcomers, he's always fighting like some of the most like blue chip guys, that come into UFC. I mean, he fought Conor McGregor. He was Conor McGregor's first fight in the UFC, and he got knocked out there. And then he's Cody Garbrandt's first fight in the UFC, and he got knocked out there. And now he's Jimmy Rivera's first fight in the UFC, and he just got knocked out there. It's like, for some reason they insist on giving Marcus Brimage like these like blue chip prospects. And I suppose you can just kind of give him more lower to mid tier guys at division at this point if they decide to keep him. Yeah. I like the guy. I think he's improved and he's a solid enough fighter. But like his biggest strength is a stand-up, and he gets outstruck by a lot of guys. There's just not really much else to his game. He's not much of I can't really say he's a prospect anymore. So, at this point, I don't really know what they do with him. They cut him or just get more lower level guys. And finally, Daniel Omelianchuk defeated Chris De La Rocha by TKO in the first round. This was my one egregious pick. I was kind of going back and forth here. I was like, heavyweights, De La Rocha's the bigger guy, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what am I doing? Why did I pick De La Rocha? A guy who only has like 3 fights. I mean, he's finished all his opponents, but at the very least, Omelianchuk, he's fond of UFC. He's not taking the fight on short notice, and he's very experienced. And he can strike really well, Pretty egregious pick here. I really don't know what I was thinking with that pick. I should have gone with Omelianchuk. And the other thing that's interesting about this fight, when you talk about experience, Frank Mir, Todd Duffy, Derek Lewis, Sean Jordan even. Just the guys that are more experienced in the UFC at heavyweight, it's not uncommon to see them beat guys who have a relative lack of experience. And we've just been seeing it more and more in the UFC's heavyweight division at this point. And yeah, I definitely should have went with Omelianchuk. Both these guys will probably, I can see De La Rocha getting another fight. I don't know if he'll win it. He looked kind of lost in there, to be honest with you. Omelianchuk will live to fight another day. solid enough striker, actually. You know, he can grapple too. So, it's more like lower to mid-tier guys for Omolonchuk. So that's it for my post-fight analysis for UFC Fight Night 72. If you have any comments, just leave them below. And that's it for MMA for You. Thank you guys very much.